Meanwhile, Sid, the defending champions, of course, out of the title race. I don't think many would have thought that at the start of the season, given the fact that we thought that Barca and Real Madrid were both in transition. And it's interesting now, the likes of Kieran Trippier, I know everyone is going to be linked to Newcastle over the next few weeks, but reports suggesting that they have put in an official bid and the clubs are talking about the England international maybe going back to the Premier League.
Yeah, and of course this was underlined by Diego Simeone himself today in the pre-match press conference when he said publicly, and I think it's the first time that he's engaged with this issue at all publicly, and he said, look, we're now in a situation where Kieran has to make up his mind whether he's going or not, and if he does, then we will act, of course, in consequence with what his decision is, and if he does, then we will move and we will make the movements we need to make to find a solution, which is what we always do. In other words, for the first time, we've heard Atletico Madrid publicly say, yeah, he could go. And yes, this is all about him now. Now, that's not quite true, of course. It's not all about him. It's about whether Newcastle or any other club that are interested in him, by the way, because I wouldn't be at all surprised if other Premier League clubs now suddenly think, OK, this is worth discussing. They will now have to, of course, come up with a bid that Atletico Madrid accept. And Atletico could still turn it down, which they did in the summer, not from Newcastle, but from other clubs. So Atletico Madrid still have to accept this, but this is the first time they've publicly engaged with, yes, Kieran now has to make up his mind. This is a movement that's been nothing to do with us, but we're now confronted with the possibility of the fact that Kieran Trippier leaves.
This is interesting, Sid, because I remember reading an interview that you did with Trippier maybe a year ago, and he seemed happy, seemed settled, seemed to be embracing the new life in Madrid. What happened?
This is interpretive from my point of view. I think what happened was a couple of things. I think one of them was, of course, the ban last year for him breaking FA regulations on gambling. And I think what that did was it created, I'm not going to go so far as to call it distrust, but I think it created, if you like, a kind of a slight break in the relationship, or a slight distancing or cooling in the relationship between Trippier and Atletico Madrid. And I think there was a certain degree of a feeling within Atletico Madrid that they had been, if you like, the victims of this ban, almost more than Trippier himself was. And of course, the fact that the ban didn't damage the England national team in any way, and Simeone was public about that, about saying, hang on, how can it be that one of the interested parties rules on this? And oh, look, what a convenience. He's banned for our games and he comes back just in time to play for England. And I think that created a slight sense of distancing. The other thing, of course, that happened, I think, to be perfectly honest, was that Atletico won the league. And I think that Trippier, at that point, of course, reached the sense where he felt, I came here to win something, I came here to prove a point, and I've done that. And in a way, this is overplaying it a little bit, but in a way, I think there was a sense of, my work here is done. I've done this now. And then, of course, you get to that. There are all sorts of questions that we don't know the answer to in terms of whether the family is happy in Spain, how far he's integrated and so on. And I guess it's just a case of quite liking the idea of going back now.
So you've been there for 22 years. When is your work going to be done?
My work is never done, Daniel. You know that.
Certainly not, Sid. Thank you, as always. Happy New Year to you, mate. Just a reminder, ESPNFC brings you a podcast every single day. You can download that over on the website. Plenty of bonus material for you to enjoy as well.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.